To celebrate and to mourn, to reflect and to rejoice, the Hall of Fame game from Ivor Wynne Stadium as Winnipeg meets Hamilton. We've got a star-studded class to be inducted into the 2008 Hall of Fame, and we all, of course, have heavy hearts with the memory of Ron Lancaster, who left us far too early yesterday.
Yeah, very tough night, tough couple of days here where the family was in attendance for the tribute to Ron Lancaster on the big screen. There was a moment of silence before the game. All the players will wear the number 23 decal on their helmet, and the coaches will have a 23 decal on their coaches' uniforms on the sideline. It has been a tough time over the last day and a half. There's number 23. The same thing will happen in Saskatchewan tomorrow night. 16 years with the Saskatchewan Roughriders. 5 Grey Cup appearances as a player, 2 championships for Ron Lancaster as a head coach in the Canadian Football League. Tremendous broadcaster and an even better person.
You're to put one face on 50 years of Canadian Football League, it would have to be Ron Lancaster as a player, coach, and broadcaster. So we dedicate this game in his memory on a beautiful night here in the Steel City. And a very important game for these two teams. Doug Barry's Bombers looking for their first 2-game win streak of the year, and the Ticats desperate to get back on even terms with Winnipeg in the East standings. JoJo Walker on the return. He'll be hauled down by Fred Reed as Hamilton will go to work on offense for the first time tonight.
Hamilton will go on offense. JoJo Walker is back in the lineup. Casey Printers will be the starting quarterback. Talked to him about his game in Edmonton a week ago. He said he made enough plays to win and just enough plays to lose also, which is what happened to the Hamilton Tiger Cats against the Edmonton Eskimos. A close game, but a loss. And there is the receiving corps. Tony Miles, important. No Chris Bauman in the lineup, a late scratch. And an offensive line has got to protect for Printers tonight.
No Jesse Lumsden out with a shoulder injury suffered last week, so Terry Colley is the featured back. Not much against the teeth of that Winnipeg defense on the opening play.
No Tom Canada in the defense now for the second straight week. Kai Ellis up front will play in his position. He had a sack in his first game. Of course, the return of Zeke Moreno. Oftentimes a player loves to go back to the team that traded him and show that that was a mistake. Well, Zeke Moreno gets to do it a week later after the big trade. There's Zeke Moreno in the middle of that linebacking core. Kelly Malvo moves down. Jonathan Johnson moves into halfback, and Stanford Samuels plays on the corner.
Our starting lineup brought to you by Holiday Inn Hotels. Look again at Holiday Inn, 2nd and 8. And Printers flushed, gets it away, and it's complete. And a catch is made by Preche Rodriguez, who had a couple of touchdown grabs last week in Edmonton.
Yeah, his first 2 touchdowns in Canadian football, and he got them against the Edmonton Eskimos. Became really the #1 target for Casey Printers, leading receiver a week ago, and the only Hamilton receiver this year to have over 100 yards. He had 150 early in the season versus the Eskimos.
Big catch for 21 there. And as effective as he was in the end zone last week, there were a couple of drops on first down plays, so good sign for Rodriguez with that 21-yard first down catch. Rivers running out of time, getting chased by Walls, and he'll throw it away. At the Winnipeg bench, closest man to it, Stanford Samuels, up the Bombers.
Of course, this is what Marcel Belfait calls his home opener as the head coach of the Hamilton Tiger Cats, and that decision by his quarterback is one that I'm sure he will like. He had lots of time, Printers, in the pocket. No open receivers. He bought himself a couple of extra seconds, but then decided to throw it out of bounds and not take the loss.
Yes, he has called this an 8-game season as the interim head coach. This is the first game at home since the coaching change and the dismissal of Charlie Tapp. 2nd and 10, looking downfield, and that pass incomplete. Intended again for Rodriguez. Check that, Scott Mitchell, the intended receiver.
And Scott Mitchell can help Casey Printers a little on that play by working himself back to the football through that seam. But, you know, this is a big game for Marcel Belfait because a win here, and despite the tough start to this season, the tough first half, the Hamilton Tiger Cats with a win can get back in the fight. They could tie the Winnipeg Blue Bombers and be a game back of Toronto. Of course, every team in the East now except Montreal looking at that #2 spot.
Jason Armstead back as Nicholas Seta angling the punt, and this one is going to bounce down around the goal line and through for a long single point. Hamilton on the board quickly in Ivor Wynn. Hall of Fame weekend in Hamilton. And here at Ivor Wynn, just under 6 minutes remaining in the opening quarter, and just 1 point to report so far.
Casey Printers and I in a conversation yesterday about the game against the Edmonton Eskimos. There were 5 turnovers on each side. Casey Printers threw 4 interceptions. 2 of them went for touchdowns. And he said he had talked to Ricky Ray after the game. Basically, they both agreed that they made enough plays to win, both quarterbacks, and enough to lose because they made a few mistakes and a few plays made by the defense. Marcel Belfait thought, though, that Printers threw with more confidence than he's thrown all year.
Well, this is an offense that has scored over 30 points in 4 of their last 6 starts. Only 1 win. Pass for Pat Woodcock. Out of reach, incomplete. Let's take a look at the roller coaster Casey Printers performance at Commonwealth.
I get the feeling in that conversation I had with him, and there's his numbers, 213 yards passing. The 4 interceptions I mentioned, also had those 2 touchdowns to Precier Rodriguez, who is really gaining some chemistry with. But got the impression that the reins may be coming off him a little bit, that he will be allowed as the season goes on here to allow his athletic ability to come to the forefront, because I think he's been sort of contained with regards to that early in the year.
First multi-touchdown game of the year. Some movement on that Ticat offensive line.
But you also got the feeling with the Hamilton Tiger Cats that they...
Procedure, Hamilton number 52, 5-yard penalty, repeat, 2nd down.
George Hudson flinched.
They have this you talk to every one of these guys, and you get the feeling that they know how close that they are. They know that they're a block away, a play away. With a minute to go, the Ticats last week had the football and then fumbled it. Had they gone down and they had a chance to drive to win that football, they know they're that close.
Problem is they're playing a team that thinks they have turned the corner. Pressure on Printers, who gets away. Hayward can't put him off. And Casey Printers roughs for first down up to the 43. He ran for 125 last week in Edmonton.
And that's what we're talking about athletically about Casey Printers, that if you take the reins off him and you allow him to go ahead and take off and run. He had 11 carries last week. You mentioned well over 100 yards. That can break down a defense in a hurry. He is on pace for more rushing yards this year than Printers had in his 2004 year in BC when he was the most outstanding player in the league.
There was an illegal contact on a receiver penalty declined by the Tiger Cats, I believe on Neil McKinley. So the 18-yard Printers run stands. And a first down Tiger Cats. 4-man bomber rush. Printers steps up, airs it out, looking for Colley. Step for step with Malvo, and they both got tangled up, and it falls incomplete.
Fans want a pass interference, but absolutely not. This is a good no call by the officials. Terry Colley in a matchup on a wheel route that really suits Winnipeg. I know the fans here in Hamilton like to see a flag, but that was absolute perfect coverage from Kelly Malvo, Mr. Versatility for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. This is a matchup that works fine for Winnipeg because that's a DB. Yes, they go down, but Terry Colley was really pushing more than Malvo really was. He was looking at the football the entire way. Absolutely no penalty there.
Kelly Malvo has played half, corner, safety, and looks good. It's Sam linebacker 2. 2nd and 10. Pressure. Cam Hall gets home for the sack for Winnipeg. 2nd sack of the year for the Will linebacker. The weak side linebacker, Cam Hall.
You know, Cam Hall comes from the backside. He is coming from over here. You can see him there. But without Gavin Walls stopping Casey Printers from getting out to the field side, Cam Hall doesn't get there. See, it's roll away from Cam Hall. really the Hamilton Tiger Cats are saying, we're going to let Cam Hall go free. But if Gavin Walls turns him in, you got a chance, and that's what happened.
Punt by Seta, fielded at the 20 by Armstead, and Armstead jolted before he got to the 25. That's Siskowick downfield first. Well, so many reflections about Ron Lancaster, and we asked Doug Barry about his memory of coaching against the Little General.
It was for the Eastern Final in 1999, and it was third down, maybe a minute and a half, 2 minutes left in the game, and probably about a yard, maybe a little less than a yard to go. But everybody in the stadium knew that Hamilton was going to run the ball, except for Ron Lancaster. He called a pass to a linebacker lined up as a tight end, and I guess the story goes, they completed that pass and ultimately went on to win the game, and that is the year that they did go on and win the Grey Cup.
1999, and win over Doug Barry's Montreal Alouettes, and that really, I think, exemplifies sometimes the guile and competitiveness of Ron Lancaster.
Well, and the guts that it would take to make a call like that. I mean, it really is and was one of the great gutsy calls in the history of Canadian football, to go on a 3rd and 1, and Doug Barry said it, everyone in the park thought he would run the ball and get that safe first down, and he goes and throws to a linebacker.
2nd and 7 after the 3-yard run by Reed, and it's pretty well all been Fred Reed for the Bomber offense in this first quarter, and Hamilton starting to zone in on number 32.
He throws to linebacker Joe Higgins, and I remember talking to Danny McManus about that play and how surprised he was that Ron Lancaster made the call. You know, that one thing about Ron Lancaster as a coach, and you talk to any one of the players that had played for him, they will tell you to a man that he had demanded excellence from them, but there was such great loyalty between he and his players, and that's what coaches strive for. Ron Lancaster achieved it like no other coach could.
Joe Walker on the return, and kept his balance to get across midfield, setting up good field position for KC Printers and the Tiger Cats with 2.5 minutes left in this first quarter. Remember, Danny McManus just wanted to finish that story. Yep. He couldn't believe when that play was set in.
Yeah. I remember talking to him.
What?
Yeah, he said, and you know what he said to me? He said, I had to become an actor in the huddle. I had to turn around in the huddle and say, okay, I got to sell this to the guys because I don't believe this is going to work. But playing to win, playing aggressively, you know, expecting to have success, that's what Ron Lancaster was all about.
At the Bomber 53, Hamilton to work. Terry Colley straight ahead and has close to 3.
One of the great stories in this game is playing middle linebacker from the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, and players love to come back and play against the team that traded them away. Zeke Moreno a couple weeks ago traded away to Winnipeg. It was supposed to be for Tom Canada. It turned out Tom Canada didn't work out. Now it could, in the long run, work out well for Hamilton. They get Corey Mace from the Buffalo Bills and a 1st-round draft pick. But Zeke Moreno gets a chance a week later, basically, to play against his old team.
Says he loves this defense. More downhill. Should showcase him more. Pressure on here. The Printers is dropped by Jerome Haywood all the way back at the Hamilton 44. So a couple of sacks in this opening quarter.
The pocket just collapsed, and Doug Brown, Jerome Haywood in the middle get the good push, but Zeke Moreno was also part of that blitz package on the outside. So it basically becomes man-to-man. It's Doug Brown who really gets first penetration. He flushes KC Printers out of there right into the hands of Jerome Haywood.
3rd sack of the year for Haywood. Set up Blassett. Back to the 14. Armstead looking for a crease. Better return by Armstead. Up across the 35-yard line for the former Ti-Cat, with 68 seconds remaining in the opening quarter, and Kevin Glenn really has played it close to the vest in this first 15 minutes, hasn't he?
But they have established the run. I mean, they've established the run to Fred Reed. That will help them as this game goes on. He hasn't really pushed the ball down the field just yet. A lot of short throws to the outside, a couple dump-offs to the back, but he will start to push the ball coming off a 300-yard game.
Yes, his first 300-yard passing game since July 4th. Short drop, and Another catch for Milt Stegall trying to stretch out.
It really seems Kevin Glenn to be getting comfortable with the play calling. And you know, when I talked to him yesterday at practice, he explained to me the only thing that still is sort of bothering him about play calling is that it often means that he has to change personnel. So when he calls a play, it might mean that a player like Robbie Bryant has to leave the field to bring on a different player. And if it means to bring in Joe Smith on a short yardage, it means that a guy like Fred Reed might have to go off. He says, I feel guilty about changing formations because a player might have to go and watch from the sideline. But other than that, he is very comfortable with calling the plays.
Saw Milt Stegall stretch out looking for that first down stick, and it's close enough for a measurement. And looks like about a length of the chain away, maybe even less.
The inches you need are everywhere around you.
You know, congratulated Milt yesterday on that all-time, and we both mentioned the fact that he was even featured on Monday Night Football at halftime, and Milt said, you know, it was the highest rated cable show they've ever had. So
he took credit.
I figured that was one heck of a halftime show, as they acknowledged it. Good for him. He actually got an email from a high school teammate who said, I had no idea you were still playing. Yes, Milt Stegall's been playing here for a little while. And
you know, and the last couple of weeks, Chris, looks like he is running better. I mean, he had that limp from the knee early in the year. It didn't look like he had that smooth stride, but it is coming back.
Milt didn't get a first down, but he did get another milestone. And Kevin Glenn's going to use a free play to get it downfield. Looking for a big one, and he's got it. Derek Armstrong, touchdown. And you got to love the call on 2nd and inches.
You know, right after Doug Barry, in memory of Ron Lancaster, talked about that play in 1999, you think he went home last night and went to his hotel and thought, you know what? Why not? In a short yardage situation, I know this was 2nd down, but 2nd one, everyone thought they'd go to Joe Smith there, and they go down the field to Derek Armstrong for the big play and a touchdown. I got to believe Doug Barry thought, you know what? I admire and respect Ron Lancaster for what he did in '99. Why not? Great play call right there.
63-yarder to Armstrong, his biggest play of the season. And a quiet start for Kevin Glenn. Got a lot louder in this final minute of the quarter. Cerna adds the extra point. And the Bombers take their first lead of the night. Our first quarter stats brought to you by Tim Hortons. Always fresh, always.
Well, the Hamilton Tiger Cats would have had the edge, but for one play. The lost long throw to Derek Armstrong. 63 of the 74 passing yards for the Bombers on that one play.
Well, we mentioned we're thinking about a Hall of Fame induction class that may not have peers, but we're also thinking about Ron Lancaster and his family and his legacy, which certainly is great. He was an iconic figure in this country, in this game, and you know very well about his legacy.
Yeah, I'll never forget, you know, my first year in Saskatchewan, getting off the plane to go to training camp, and the first time I went to Taylor Field, it was Taylor Field at the time, and of course, you understand the legend of Ron Lancaster, whose name is bigger than life in the province of Saskatchewan. He had set the bar of excellence with those teams in the late 60s and early 70s. He and George Reed, and it really was, that stadium was the house that Ron built. It was the house that George built. You knew it immediately, and you knew as a player you were always trying to reach that level of expectation. You knew you never could, but that was always the goal, and Ron Lancaster set that level of expectation.
Just had Ron Lancaster pass by in the booth. Ron Jr. Transcendent guy. He was born in a Pennsylvania steel town, became a great Canadian. He was a backup quarterback and then the outstanding player. He was 2-14 as a head coach, and he was coach of the year. 4 Grey Cups as a player and a head coach, and just a good guy. First and 10. Cats to 52. Kelly Valvo on the blitz. Biggers gets outside. Gets to the edge and gets down. Hits the dirt at the 45. Is there a flag? The fans thought there should have been, as Britters hit the deck and still took a hit.
Well, it depends on how Printers did hit the deck, because I thought it was Gavin Walls that came down on him. First of all, he breaks contain. Kelly Malvo's coming off the edge from the top of your pitcher, and this is what Printers can do. He can just read that, feel it, and jump it outside. Now, there's Gavin Walls. Now, if Printers slides feet first, he cannot be hit. He didn't. He went head first, so Gavin Walls is okay to fall over him. No penalty.
Casey Printers now 24 yards on the ground, 2nd and 5. And guns that one to the sidelines. A little high for JoJo Walker. Incomplete.
Mentioned his rushing yards and something that's very important in his game. Printers on pace for more yards rushing. Just missed on that throw. He's on pace for over 500 yards rushing this year. 7.8 yard average. His average in 2004 was 5.7. Marcel Belfay has given him the green light to run like he did on that first down.
They spotted something and they make it work. As Nick Seta throws it to Chad Rempel for a first down out of punt formation.
Desperate times call for desperate measures, and Marcel Belfay reaches into his bag of tricks. Obviously something picked up on the game film during the week. Good fake. He even tried to hide the fact that he was talking to Printers on the sideline and not give it away. And they complete a first down. Little throw right there from Nick Seta.
Good place to do it down on the Winnipeg 46. Rempel gives them a fresh set of downs at the 34. Dave Easley will like that. Woodcock goes in motion. First down, 4-man rush, lots of time. High out of the backfield. Terry Colley down to the 20 and out at the 17.
One thing I've noticed that the improvement here in Hamilton has been their offensive line, who has gone through some changes, and they've given Casey Printers some time to run. When he hasn't, he's been able to get to the outside and break containment. That offensive line improving a little bit, and they have to. They are ranked 8th in the league in giving up sacks, 40 coming into this game. Printers had lots of time to check down there to Terry Colley.
17 for Colley out of the backfield. And a first down at the 17. And Printers looks the corner right. Woodcock can't bring it in. Kelly Malvo there in coverage. And Pat Woodcock with an appeal.
Well, they look like they tangled up a little bit, but Kelly Malvo went over the top to play the football, had his eyes on the football. The only thing that may have been called would have been his right hand, but unless that right hand, and we'll see the end of it here, really pulls Pat Woodcock around and adjusts his route, he will not get that call. And again, I think that's a perfect no call by the official to let them play and decide the outcome of that play.
So 2nd and 10. Printers steps up, throws to the inside, touchdown! Scott Mitchell has his first Canadian Football League touchdown.
Once this receiving corps starts to gain some confidence, once they start to understand and trust their quarterback, it could be a good core in the next couple of years. Scott Mitchell has tremendous size, 6'3", 220 pounds. He comes back and wins the fight for the football as Printers on the run. Throws it out there and says, I want to let my man win that one-on-one, and his man did it.
Beat the jump ball against Javon Johnson. 7 plays, 62 yards, including that fake punt.
No. Raise the roll right now.
Well, when you get the momentum on a fake on the special teams, and that fake punt gave the Hamilton Tiger Cats a little momentum, you want to make it work with a major, and they did that.
There's Armstead on the kick return, and a good one, and he's still going, busting it up across the 50 to midfield before Sandy Beveridge finally brings him down.
This is one thing that this young, inexperienced receiving core is starting to learn. There's Scott Mitchell there, and this is what he's going to run. He's going to run a corner route like that, but watch how he breaks it off into the inside when he realizes that KC Printers is starting to scramble. Here comes the corner. He goes down. Now he goes to the outside, to the left in the corner. You'll lose him for a second. Now he sees that Printers is on the go to the outside here. What does he do? He breaks back to the inside and creates a target. Printers finds him.
43-yard kick return for Jason Armstead. His longest as a Bomber. And there's a tackle by Terrence Patrick on Fred Reed, limiting a gain to 4 yards.
And they're called scramble rules, and when you have a quarterback like KC Printers, you better know them. They didn't know them for the first 5-6 games of the year. They're starting to learn them now.
Yeah, you made that point earlier in the year. I think in particular in the Winnipeg game back in August, they were better last week. Second down, looking pattern to Armstrong. The touchdown score for the Bombers and a first down for Derek Armstrong. 14-yard gain.
Well, special teams a bit of a factor in the last two series. First of all, the Hamilton Tiger Cats get the fake punt that results in a touchdown. Jason Armstead comes back with a good return on the kickoff to give Kevin Glenn tremendous field position.
So first down, Bombers at the Tiger Cat 39. Kevin Glenn the out, and it's about a foot too high for Armstrong. At 6'2", he went vertical but couldn't bring it down.
When Doug Barry said that Kevin Glenn would be calling the plays, I think it instantly gave Kevin Glenn ownership. It gave him ownership of the team. He went through some rocky roads here early in the season when he was pulled for Ryan Dinwiddie, who came in and won a football game. And he gets to start back, and when he did, and he's calling his plays, he got some ownership in this team.
Stiegel in motion. Kevin Glenn dancing around. He's got a wide open Armstrong, who kept the feet down. Got both in, only needed one, and makes the grab at about the 15-yard line.
You knew that Kevin Glenn would have some time to throw the ball because it was just three-man pressure from Hamilton. Now, as he buys more and more time, he's got to find that open receiver. Derek Armstrong becomes it, and he makes that catch like kids do on the street when they're playing, just throwing the football around the street where you try and pretend you're right at the curb and you just stay in bounds. You get both feet. He only needs one, but that ball right on the money.
And a 100-yard game already for a guy who's only had 3 catches in each of the last couple of starts. Fred Reed pitch. He'll throw, and he's got an open man, and it's picked. What a play! Picked off by Chris Thompson in the end zone for a league-tying 5th interception. Fred Reed underthrowing R.J. Franklin, and it's picked off. Who will be going head-to-head in the East and West quarterfinals on Saturday, September 27th. The winners move on to the semis, and then one gets a chance to kick for all those great prizes, including the $1 million. So,
you have a favorite? You have a front runner? You have a favorite?
Well, I know you've been scouting them.
Yeah, it looked
like they're all contenders. First and 10 run for Fred Reed.
There's a kick down. And then once we have a finalist, you get a chance for all those great prizes, including $1 million.
2.8 million entries. Now those 4 guys are left standing. So we wish them the best. Pretty good representation across the country. From New Brunswick to Calgary. Second down, and there's a completion, another second down conversion. And the catch by Robbie Bryant.
Robbie Bryant in the slot just sits down in that hole. He knows he's going to take a big hit and does, but hangs on to the football.
13 for Bryant, who entered the game 5th in CFL receiving. 804 yards coming in. First down at the Hamilton 49. The fake from Glenn to Reed, and the toss to Terrence Edwards. And he's wrapped up and brought down at the 35. Well, we mentioned that there was the record last week. A milestone tonight for Milt Stegall, just to round off the number. Now over 15,000 receiving yards.
It was Alan Pitts he passed. Darren Flutie, former Hamilton Tiger Cat, in 3rd place. His former teammate of mine on that list, Ray Elgard. Milt Stegall over 15,000, the only receiver in CFL history over 15,000 yards.
2-back set. First down, second back through. Here's Fred Reed. He'll get back to the line of scrimmage. Good play there by the active, strong side linebacker Marquise Knowlton.
And the question becomes, is Milt Stegall the greatest receiver of all time?
Well, he has such great respect for the man whose record he broke, Alan Pitts. But when you consider touchdowns, the deep threat he was, and what if he played with Doug Flutie? Would he have been a 20,000?
That's what I'm impressed with Milt Stegall. That he did it with so many different quarterbacks, and not all of them were great.
Second in a full 10. Look out, Terrence Edwards, the catch, and somehow avoided some serious contact. Boy, I thought he'd pay a price for that catch, but he slid off and gets 19 and a first down.
Yeah, he spun out of that one. Just to finish up the thought with Milt Stegall, think of some of the quarterbacks. I mean, Kahari Jones, Kevin Glenn, and Kevin Glenn is very proud of his involvement with all the records with Milt Stegall. But other than Kahari Jones and Kevin Glenn, boy, Milt Stegall went through some tough years when he didn't have a very good quarterback behind center and still managed his 1,000-yard receiving seasons. You know, Alan Pitts was a tremendous receiver. I take nothing away from his career, but he had a guy like Doug Flutie for a lot of it.
First down, Glenn looking end zone, and Armstrong couldn't bring it down, but he was interfered with. Lawrence Gordon in coverage, flag in the end zone, also one closer to the line of scrimmage.
You see how they sort out these flags. There was one definitely right at the point of attack, right at Lawrence Gordon and Derek Armstrong in the back of the end zone. We'll take a look at that.
Legal block. Hands to the face. Winnipeg. Forward pass interference. Hamilton will replay first down. 1st and 10.
So they just do it over again with the offsetting penalties. Didn't get a number on the illegal block.
Lawrence Gordon looked like he put his hands around the waist of Derek Armstrong. Didn't look like he turned him or anything like that, but did put his hands around. But it doesn't matter either way. Gordon is one of those defensive backs that seems to be in good position all of the time, but doesn't always make the play on the ball that he should.
The first down over. And Glenn to the sidelines. Too hot for R.J. Franklin.
Because it's a matchup that I'm sure that Kevin Glenn will go back to. Derek Armstrong on Lawrence Gordon, who's had a bit of a rough year so far this season. He's bounced back over the last couple of games. Does not have an interception, but he does lead the team in knockdowns. That's what I mean about when the ball arrives. Lawrence Gordon seems to have good position. He's a tremendous cover man. And then when the ball arrives, he doesn't seem to be able to make that play, the big interception. He has the 8 knockdowns, which is good. Interceptions are better.
2nd and 10 from the 20. Pressure. Glenn dumps it off to Reed. It was read well. There is a penalty marker on the play. That was snuffed out by Jeff Tisdale, who had a pair of interceptions last week off Ricky Ray.
Yeah, and one went for a touchdown. That was good close by Jeff Tisdale, who read that play well. We'll see what the penalty is.
Holding. Winnipeg number 53. Penalties decline. 3rd down.
Dominic Picard, the center, charged with the infraction. Declined, and with less than 4 minutes to go, the field goal unit comes on. fiery center not happy with the call, but didn't matter. They didn't get to the first down stick anyway, and Cerno will attempt a 26-yarder. Perfect from under 30 this year. And Cerno gives Winnipeg the lead once again at 10-8. First and 10 at the 31 after that Terry Colley run. And Printers flag down. Zeke Moreno had Printers in his sights, and Doug Brown will finish him off. With that Printers run likely to come back.
Terry Colley is the feature back with Jesse Lumsden out.
Hamilton, number 60. 10-yard penalty. Repeat, first down.
Marco Kavka, the right tackle.
I know he's a player that they are very high on and think could be a guy that could be the feature back and every play back for the Hamilton Tiger Cats. However, there are a lot of rumors swirling around that a former Saskatchewan Rough Rider, former player that played under Marcel Belfait, the head coach here, Kenton Keith, may be in the future for the Hamilton Tiger Cats.
Released by the Indianapolis Colts. Dumped over the middle and dropped. Incomplete. Tony Miles couldn't bring it in. There were first speculation that Toronto would be the most likely destination. There was some talk about Saskatchewan, but now Hamilton seems to be taking the lead in the Kenton Keith sweepstakes.
You know, and it starts to make sense when you consider that for 3 years in Saskatchewan, Marcel Belfait, the new head coach here in Hamilton, worked with Kenton Keith. They have a very good relationship. And the Hamilton Tiger Cats have been rumored that they're talking to Kenton Keith about getting him here in Hamilton sooner rather than later.
Second and 20. A pump and he drops the ball. We've seen Casey Printers do this too many times this year. Drop back at the 2-yard line. And well, Chris Schultz has documented some of these.
Well, the pump fake is there by design to try and set up a receiver's double move. In other words, there's a receiver over there on that outside that is doing a double move like an out and up or a curl and go or something like that. That's why the pump is put in there, try and sell the DBs. But a couple of times, you're right, Chris, Casey Printers has lost the handle while trying to do that, put his team in a hole, and he barely got out of the end zone there.
A loss of 20. Gavin Walls will get credit with the sack. Printers on the limp. And we're in safety range here back at the Ticat 2-yard line. 3rd and 39. And Nick Settis going to run it out, or run it out of touch for 2.
Yep.
He's 1 for 1 passing, so he gave us a little fake.
Yeah, that's true, and he bought a little time there with 2:17 to go. But that play where Seta gives up 2 is not a bad result for Hamilton considering what happened. They could have given the ball up on the 1-yard line or worse. And 2 points and kicking the ball off to the Winnipeg Blue Bombers is sort of the best of a bad play. To see how Casey Printers is and whether or not he can return.
You'd think it'd have to be more confidence than just evaluation, because it's a big game. Critical game for the Ticats, just as big for the Bombers. There's Joe Smith on the return. It's been Fred Reed's show from a tailback position so far tonight.
Well, they have really established that run, Chris. I mean, they really established Fred Reed. We haven't seen Joe Smith a bunch,
but we will see him in this offensive set. Fred Reed got the first 11 plays last week. Joe Smith came in on a 3rd down gamble, got a first down, and stayed in for some reps. Doug Barry said, retrieve the start, and we'll go with who's got the hot hand after that. So If Joe Smith can dominate on the ground here, he can stay in the game.
Well, when they set up this run, whether it be Joe Smith or Fred Reed, it's going to set up play action in the second half. And that's where that matchup, I think, we're going to look for in that second half even more with Derek Armstrong. Off to a good start in this game. This was a short yardage play. Armstrong got in behind again. Lawrence Gordon in position, but doesn't make the play on the football. Now he goes to Armstrong down the sideline, wide open. That was a zone defense. Armstrong's made some plays in this game.
There's a catch for R.J. Franklin. And a first down for the Bombers up across the 50-yard line.
And when you set up the run, which Winnipeg has, then play action buys your quarterback more time to go to that matchup to Derek Armstrong or R.J. Franklin or Milt Stegall. And this is one of the top receiving corps in the league.
Franklin had a half dozen catches in the last start against the Tiger Cats. A first down. Kevin Glenn has some time, has a completion, and there's your guy, Derek Armstrong this time. Brought down by Ray Mariuz, just a 5-yard gain.
Sorry, Chris. When you look at the receiving corps, Derek Armstrong and then Milt Stegall in particular. Robbie Bryant is doing it as a rookie, but Derek Armstrong is a guy that can win the one-on-one jump ball. Milt Stegall, if you blitz Winnipeg, Milt Stegall will make you pay for it.
2nd and 5. Glenn on a roll, and R.J. Franklin went up and brought it down. Terrific catch. And dropped by Joaquin Bradley.
You know, and maybe not enough is talked about R.J. Franklin in that core because he just quietly goes about his job and makes big plays. I mean, when he is asked to make that big catch, and this is a big one, he's over the middle and has to expose his ribs to any DB that's going to be in the area. He goes up and climbs the ladder and brings that one down.
He's been quiet the last few weeks. 5 catches in the last 3 games for only 66, but just ripped off 23 on that catch, second of the drive. Now a hitch, and Armstrong through the traffic and down inside the 20. Another Bomber first down with 66 seconds left on the clock.
We're seeing a lot of this kind of hitch play and the curls and things like that because the Hamilton Tiger Cats are dropping. I mentioned if you blitz Kevin Glenn like Toronto tried to do last week, Milt Stegall and Kevin Glenn will make you pay because Milt Stegall will recognize it and he'll go right where you blitz a guy out of the secondary and he'll go into that hole. That's how he got his 92-yarder. So they have to play zone. That forces Kevin Glenn to throw it underneath.
Smith the lone back, 5 receivers out. And Glenn looking for Terrence Edwards, touchdown. Red hot. Kevin Glenn was 6 for 6 on the scoring drive as the Bombers expand their lead.
Okay. Not sure about the celebration, but it was a tremendous drive, and it was Kevin Glenn orchestrating it. They're having some fun, and why not after that drive? Got the ball with just over 2 minutes to go and moved it right down the field, capping it off with Terrence Edwards' touchdown.
4th touchdown catch of the season for Edwards. Cerna adds the extra point. Well, they said they were getting their swagger back. They've got the dance back now. 16,425 rushing yards. One of the newest inductees, Mike Pringle, is with Sarah Orleski.
Thanks so much, Chris. Mike, you've said that you never expected to be in the Hall of Fame when you were growing up of any kind, but how surreal is this experience for you? Have you been able to kind of take it all in and soak it in?
Well, I'm taking it all in right now. Obviously, this is not something that you shoot for. This is not a goal that you're courageous enough to set for yourself. This is just something that happens, and along the way, I had some great years because I was surrounded by a lot of great players, and was fortunate enough to be consistent enough to get me to this point. To be in the Hall of Fame, that still sounds so good to me. Mike Pringle, Hall of Famer, and I just love the game. I love playing the football. I was very passionate about it, and to just be here with family and friends, it's a great time right now.
You told me that the Grey Cups, although it may be a little cliched, that the Grey Cups were the most memorable for you, but you said 2003 as well. Can you just expand on why that one stands out?
Put me on the spot here. Well, it was towards the tail end of my career, and I was able to go back to Edmonton and win a championship on a team that I started with. Edmonton was my first team, and to be able to go back and win a Grey Cup with Edmonton, and then against my former team, Montreal, was great. A great experience.
Thanks so much for this. Congratulations.
Thank you for having me.
Well, it's great to be a fan on a night like that. So many people talking about how fearsome he was as a running back. You didn't like buckling up against him, did you?
No. Well, who did? I mean, he brought it. He ran over you.
When Porter at the controls looking for Ripple, some of the best battles were right here in this stadium. Rob Hitchcock and Mike Pringle went helmet to helmet on more than a few occasions.
Well, one of the most intense players I've ever gone against, and I know trying to tackle Mike Pringle is like trying to bring down a truck. And I remember one game in Taylor Field when he was in Baltimore with Don Matthews, and we had a chance. We had just scored in that game to get it to within a couple of points. They got the ball in their own 10 and proceeded to hand it to Mike Pringle about 13 times in a row. He drove the length of the field to our 1-yard line and kneeled down for the final play of the game.
Quentin Porter's got things going. Terry Colley up the sidelines. There's a penalty marker on the field.
And just to wrap up that thought about that, I remember Mike Pringle in the huddle. We would come in the huddle, and Mike Pringle, we went in the huddle and said, guys, 27 is getting the ball. And Bobby Jursa said, I know. We have 12 guys trying to tackle him, and we can't bring him down. And he went right down to the 1-yard line and ended the game.
Because after yards were gained, we'll go back 10 yards from where the ball was, and it's first down.
So appreciate Rodriguez called on the hold after the first down, and there are a few Baltimore Stallion fans here saluting the former Baltimore Stallion Mike Pringle.
There's a penalty at the end of this play, and maybe Terry Colley is inspired after watching Mike Pringle.
First down at the Ticat 39 with the newcomer Quentin Porter at the wheel, and he has a completion over the middle. And appreciate Rodriguez has a first down catch at midfield. And maybe this is what Marcel Belfait was thinking about.
I like how he stepped in. Quentin Porter stepped into the throw, and what he does is he gave Appreciate Rodriguez a chance to protect himself coming across the middle. First of all, he looks to the outside to try and freeze the defenders or make them widen, and then he knows by looking that way he's opening up the inside and in the middle. Pretty good throw there.
Play action fake, and there's Woodcock with a catch, jolted by Javon Johnson out at the 45, but that's close to another Ticat first down.
Quentin Porter was a 60% passer when he was at Boston College and played there for 4 years. He, in 2006, signed with the Texans in the National Football League, was actually on the active roster for the final 5 games of that season. And then last year played in the last year of NFL Europe.
Not every coach subscribes to the theory that you don't lose your job because of injury. He got hurt, replaced by Matt Ryan at Boston College, and never got his job back. Ryan, the number 3 pick overall in the NFL draft. But 17 starts for Quentin Porter at Boston College.
Well, and at 6'5", he's one of those quarterbacks that is a typical pocket passer with the long arm, and a guy who can make all those throws. And we've seen a couple of examples of it already. That in route to Appreciate Rodriguez was a nice low hard throw over the middle in traffic. Then he put one over the top to the sideline. That's about a 40-yard throw to get it to Pat Woodcock. So he's shown a couple of the throws that he's capable of already.
Hoping to hear from Doug Flutie later, and I know he'll have a detailed scouting report on Quentin Porter. 2nd and 5. Stands in. He's got Rodriguez open, and he's got it inside the 10-yard line on the money. Ball popped loose after the whistle. The officials conferring.
And there's the deep ball throw. So just like that in his first series, he comes in and shows you a little bit of everything. And that deep ball throw, there's the catch. And does the ground make it come out? And I think it looked like when he hit the ground, Rodriguez, the ball came out then, and they just left it there. And I believe the whistle did blow when he hit the ground.
Ian Logan the tackle, but it is a 33-yard gain, and a challenge flag has been tossed at the Bomber bench. How many steps?
I think he had possession of that football, and it was when he hit the ground that the ball was left there.
In fact, Logan's arm glances off the ball, and he actually seems to corral it even tighter before he hits the turf, and then the ball pops loose. But Doug Barry hasn't issued a challenge yet tonight, so the first one's free. Why not?
Winnipeg is challenging the ruling of a catch on the field. I'll review it.
Yeah, why not challenge this for sure? I mean, if it's close and you have the free one, you should use it now, and that's what Doug Barry will do. I thought he had possession, though, because he catches it. Now the football move is to put it under his arm, look up the field, take a step or two. He's being tackled and brought down, and it comes out when he hits the ground. And
in fact, the knee is down right there.
Right there. That looks like a catch to me. And the other interpretation, and I'm just reminded by our producer John Hines, that the officials this year we've had the conversation with them and with Tom Higgins, the head of officiating, about when the ball is actually loose after a catch, when it would be constituted as a fumble, because it has to actually leave your possession, leave your body, be outside of it. If it's moving around in your arms, you haven't lost possession yet. So as
you can read his lips, he said that's not a fumble.
Yeah, so as he was going down there, Appreciate Rodriguez goes, you know, he had it and it might have been turning a little in his hands, but then his knee touched. He was contacted already, so that would constitute down by contact as soon as his knee touched the ground.
After review, the ruling on the field stands. It was a catch.
Well, there's one person in the stadium that disagrees. Appreciate Rodriguez. One fumble this year was inside the 10 against Winnipeg. It was costly. A couple of fumbles by Hamilton really were their undoing in the 37-24 loss to the Bombers. But right now, it's a Rodriguez catch and a first and goal. Terry Colley, the ball carrier, right side, touchdown. Ticats get back in it on a 7-yard touchdown run by Terry Colley.
Well, this is a play that is designed for Casey Printers at quarterback. There's Terry Colley right there. It's that read search play where they like to put it in his belly and then maybe pull it. So obviously Quentin Porter can run that play. Also, big block down the field by Peter Diakowski to open up a hole for Terry Colley.
7th touchdown of the year, 6th on the ground. For TC, a 7-play, 91-yard Ticat drive engineered by the newcomer, Quentin Porter. And it gets interesting here at Ivor Wynn, a 4-point Bomber lead. Within 4, Hall of Famer Angela Mosca just had a question for us. Should they have gone for 2? I'm not sure. Armstead over the 30 and still dancing, and look out! Trapped back by Ruppel, and finally, a little surprised he didn't continue onto the edge there, but he's been dangerous tonight.
Let's take a look at this touchdown. Big block by Peter Diakowski, the guard right here, and I'll show you right down at the bottom of your screen, and I'll show you who he gets. He's going to get Cam Hall, number 40, as he comes across. 40, Cam Hall is the only guy who can scrape to the hole and make the tackle. He can't get there because Diakowski takes him down. That's the block that Terry Colley needed.
And on the drive, Quentin Porter 5 for 6 for 83 yards. And the ball carrier is Joe Smith. Up across the 45. Here's why I wouldn't go for the 2 points.
Okay.
They're down by 4. Winnipeg field goal. They're still within 7 now. If they miss the field goal, or if they miss the 2-point convert, they're down by 5.
I actually talked to Marcel Belfay about these situations because it came up last week in Edmonton, and we thought he may have gone for 2. He said he goes to the 2-point chart, and there is a chart for coaches inside of 7 minutes. He said if it's not inside 7 minutes, I'm not thinking about it. I'm taking the points.
Second and 5, big hole. Lots of room to rumble for big Joe Smith. Down to the Hamilton 45. 19 for Joe Smith.
Ryan Donnelly is moving in at the guard position for Kyle Koch in this game. He gets the key block. Boy, that offensive line, look at the size of the hole. Chris, you could have run through that one. It was that big, and then...
Don't get carried away.
Okay, well, maybe. But what a hole by Ryan Donnelly and Dominic Picard.
Longest run as a bomber, 19 yards for Joe Smith. Single back out of the double tight end formation, and Glenn rolls and throws, and it's reeled in by the 15,000-yard man, Milt Stegall.
Just get this idea that Milt Stegall is getting his legs back underneath him. He's to the left of your screen, the outside receiver in this play. So you can just get that good push. If you use your speed as a receiver, you'll force the defensive back, Joaquin Bradley, into turning his hips and trying to think you're going deep, and then you can turn around and run that curl and have a little bit of room.
Yeah, he mentioned the knee is feeling better, practicing more. You think he came to Hamilton with a measuring tape, you know, like the guy who's going to move in next? Hasn't taken possession yet, but, you know, getting a feel for where he's going to stay as a Hall of Famer one day. First down, Smith again, met behind the line of scrimmage, but they'll get back to the line.
There's the speed of Cornelius Anthony, and an example of it where Joe Smith, it looked like he was going to be able to bounce and maybe get outside of the angle Cornelius Anthony was trying to track him down. You see Anthony right in the middle of your screen. A good matchup. Here he comes up in the hole. There's the bounce by Joe Smith right there. Now it looks like Joe Smith has the corner, but you see that couple of steps? Cornelius Anthony tracks him down in 2 quick steps.
See what Cornelius Anthony had an 18-tackle game in college against Nebraska. Second and 11, Glenn. And Tisdale in coverage tight with Robbie Bryant. There was a little jostling there. Bryant thought there should have been a flag. And then as a word for Tisdale as he goes by, heading to the bench.
You know, I've been real impressed with Jeff Tisdale at halfback. You know, Robbie Bryant, there was a little pushing and shoving, but Tisdale, who is a rookie, keep in mind, both rookies battling there, but Tisdale didn't. He had his hands on Bryant, but not enough to draw the flag. It usually takes a year or two before DBs can come up with that kind of composure in a key situation.
So Serta comes on to attempt a 42-yarder. 4 for 10 outside the 40. Started to hold it. And Serta working it in. Alexis Serta makes it a 7-point game. Always.
Kevin Glenn has things going with over 300 yards passing. Quentin Porter, of the 225 for Hamilton, has 103 of those in 1 quarter. Casey Printers had 110. So basically, Quentin Porter is adding up his numbers. Looks pretty good in that pocket.
He got them a little closer, but now, as Casey Printers looks on, Kevin Glenn in drive that could give the Bombers a cushion. Kevin Glenn's season high, 321 yards against the Argos coming into tonight. So he is about a completion or 2 away from surpassing that. And looking at 1st and 10 from the 16. Here comes pressure. Glenn gets it away. Flag down. And Edwards dropped at the 10. And is this a late hit?
Yeah, you started to wonder when Hamilton was going to have to start to send pressure, and especially when they get down inside the 20-yard line. Daryl Adams came through on that blitz. He got there a little late.
Roughing the passer, Hamilton, number 97. Will go half the distance to the goal for the end of the play. First down.
So it is Darrell Adams.
Here comes the low hit, and you can't hit the quarterback below the legs. Now half the distance, only a 5-yard penalty in this case. But
a first and goal at the 5. Straight back, dumps it over the middle, looking for Franklin, well covered, incomplete. Ray Marius in the hip pocket of R.J. Franklin, still looking for his first CFL touchdown in this his 3rd year, and he's been a target down here a couple of times.
Well, he's starting to get some nice ribbing from about that as well. That it's time he got in the end zone. Maybe on this 2nd down he'll have a chance. That time Ray Marius just cut him off. He was trying to run a crossing route, and Ray Marius, who wasn't covering him on the play, just blocked him from getting across the field.
Bill Stiegel told our locker room camera before the game that he was getting it tonight. But Reed straight ahead, and Reed will be stopped short of the goal line, and it'll be 3rd and at least a yard.
Well, Doug Barry made a trade this year. Some people were wondering about Charles Roberts, and the reason he made the trade is for situations like this and that guy. Now we'll see, or does he go with the field goal and stay conservative?
1.5 yards, the 7-point lead. You make it a 2-score game and a 10-point lead. Plenty of time left, though. There's just under 14 minutes to go, and he wants more than 3, and it might be 33.
Time for the Joe train.
Behind Hayward, flag down, and I don't think Joe Smith got there. Don't think he got there. And let's find out what the flag's all about. Often in this case, it's the defensive line's alignment within the 1 yard.
Well, what the Ticats did was they got low, and they got Joe Smith to leave his feet. It's going against Winnipeg.
And another goal line stand.
Procedure, Winnipeg, no end. They did not gain yards. The penalty was declined. It's first down, Hamilton.
Big defensive play, and it's still a 7-point game with a huge stop by the Cats. So 1.5 minutes into this 4th quarter, a big defensive stand by the Tiger Cats. The downside, they take over on their 1. With Quentin Porter throwing out of the end zone, and incomplete. Intended for Woodcock.
Often offenses, when they're on their own 1 yard line, will try and go deep to get out of that hole in one play. Quentin Porter had an open receiver over the middle. I believe it was JoJo Walker. He elected to try and go to the outside on a short route to Woodcock and was just short on the throw.
So Porter looking at a key 2nd and 10, and Marcel Belfay may have an important decision to make in his 2nd game as the head man. Porter, and down with the receiver, JoJo Walker. He got tripped up with Javon Johnson. No flag. And now Marcel Belfay does have an important decision.
Javon Johnson's going to pick up the coverage here on JoJo Walker, and it looked like that little push, and JoJo Walker jammed his knee, but he went down on his own. The little push didn't really cause him to go down. It maybe caused him to get off balance a little bit. Looked like he jammed that knee and locked out on it.
You give up 2. Quick decision there to take that.
I think you do.
Long snap that skipped to Seta, and he made no mistake giving up 2. So you make it a 2-score game, but there is a lot of time on the clock, and perhaps that's why the decision was an easy one for Marcel Belfay.
Well, it's a 2-point game, but you're giving up 3 in field position anyway if you punt from that deep in your end zone. It's automatic almost.
So Seta gets set to send it downfield. And Joe Smith returning kicks. And he'll rumble across the 35. Kevin Glenn will start at the 38. And we are seeing Kevin Glenn gathering some momentum in the second half of the season.
Really started when he started calling his plays. He came back and got that starting job back. And those are his last 3 starts, including tonight. Tonight being the 3rd. Close to 1,000 yards passing, pretty good percentage. And he's got that interception bug out of his system. He was having some problems throwing it to the wrong color jersey early in the year, and was one of the reasons that Doug Barry made the decision to go with Ryan Dinwiddie. And it looks like he's got those problems behind him.
6 multi-interception games on the year. Little pump, and he wants to go deep to Armstrong, but it's a little too hot as Armstrong got tied up enough with the coverage.
You know, but good for Kevin Glenn mentally when, you know, you get pulled. And Kevin Glenn was pulled and benched after leading the team to the Grey Cup Championship, not being able to play in it because he was injured in the Eastern Final, but leading the team to the Grey Cup Championship. Doug Barry wanted to rattle the cage in Winnipeg when they got off to such a tough start, and bench Kevin Glenn for him to bounce back and play the way he has is saying something.
2nd and 10, and the fans urging the defense, and they get to Kevin Glenn back at the 28-yard line. Daryl Adams and Cameron Siskowick meet at the quarterback.
Daryl Adams makes up for that penalty he had down on the goal line, although that penalty didn't cost Hamilton a major, only a 2-point safety, but he's involved there with the new linebacker.
2nd sack for the Cats tonight. Loss of 8, high snap, Cerner pulled it down. Line drive kick, and JoJo Walker got it across the 50 and around midfield. Pierre-Luc Labbé leads the cover team downfield. Close friend of Ron Lancaster's and one of our favorite guys, headed to the Hall of Fame, Tom Shepard, is with Sarah Orlesky.
Tom, you told me that you became a huge fan of the Rough Riders in 1951, and you've been involved with the organization since 1966. Yeah. How satisfying is it for you to have watched that organization, having gone through what it is, to be at this, to be at the place that it is today?
Oh, it's just completely satisfying for everyone in Saskatchewan. The fans were always there. The volunteers were always there, and I almost feel guilty accepting this award because of the thousands and thousands of volunteers that kept the club together for all those years. And now, thank goodness, thanks to Eric Tillman and Rob Pletch and Jim Hobson and their board of directors, were reaping the awards both financially and on the field. And, you know, winning that Grey Cup last year, that's only our 3rd Grey Cup ever. But I think this organization with Eric and Jim and Rob Pletch, we're going to win many, many more. So watch out, CFL.
With the passing yesterday of Ron Lancaster, we've heard so many people talk about what he was like as a player, as a coach, general manager. What was he like as a person? Because you were very close to him.
Yeah, he was just a friend, and I'm very close to him and his family, and I was just devastated. We all knew that Ronnie was sick, but he was just an icon, and I was telling you, the outpouring of emotion throughout Canada and everything for Ron Lancaster, Mr. Football, the little general. The only other time I've seen anything close to that was Rocket Richard when he passed away. And, you know, to be in the same group as Rocket Richard and Ron Lancaster, it is something. And it was also earned because I don't think anybody didn't like Ron Lancaster. He was so entertaining. He was an outstanding broadcaster, obviously an outstanding football player, and an outstanding coach. But more than that, he was just an outstanding person. You could sit and talk to him if you could ever get a word in, and forever. And he's going to be sorely missed. And it was just a big loss to the CFL. And really, the biggest loss is to the people of Saskatchewan because he was an icon and their champion.
thanks so much for this, and congratulations on the Hall of Fame.
Thank you very much. Thank you. And say hello to Cece and Suits up there and tell them I had a dream they're going to win in the lottery this year. Thank you.
Yeah, I've heard that before, Tom. I've heard that before. Well said, though, about your dear friend. And I guarantee you, Ron Lancaster probably was the guy who didn't get a word in. But,
well, you know, Tom has done so much for that organization. And, you know, for him to talk about Ron Lancaster, I know just having dinner last night with our NHL analyst, Pierre Maguire, we had a whole bunch of people in the restaurant come up to us and talk about Ron Lancaster. I think it goes beyond sports, how big of a name Ron Lancaster really was. And I mean, Tom Shepard, I think, summed it up real well.
Pass interference on Kelly Malvo, extending this drive, and now Porter airing it out for Rodriguez. He's got it. Touchdown! Rodriguez adjusts to the ball and beats Willie Amos into the end zone.
I know there's a couple of receivers in this game tonight that will have to be considerations for Rookie of the Year in the Canadian Football League. One being Robbie Bryant for Winnipeg, but I mean, I don't think you can look past Priche Rodriguez. He just continues to improve. He came in as the team's leading receiver. His longest reception coming in was 54 yards. He makes that big play on the jump ball. That one a 42-yarder.
Third touchdown in 2 weeks and 5 catches for 133 on the night. The extra point makes it a 2-point game with lots of time left. Just under 10 minutes.
Well, once again, the Hamilton Tiger Cats have a close game on their hands. Can they find a way to finish?
Joe Smith on the return. And a good one, high stepping up to the 39 before he's tossed down.
That's it, baby. We ain't stopping. We won't give up.
Willie Amos has been playing well in that secondary. We mentioned his interception from a week ago. Also leads the secondary in tackles. He was the guy one-on-one on Priche Rodriguez, who stands 6'5". And the adjustment to the ball is perfect. A little bit of wobble on that, but they don't ask just how many. And Quentin Porter will celebrate his first touchdown pass in the Canadian Football League.
We're finding out why Marcel Belfay wanted to take a more serious look, replacing the injured Casey Peters, and now it gets Loud by the wind. Turned off Fred Reed, nothing doing. Ray Mariou stepped up to finish him off. Markeith Knowlton and Darrell Adams with first contact.
Hamilton Tiger Cats, if they can find a way to win this game, climb right back in the playoff picture in the East. They tie the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. That's how important it is to them. This, for the Hamilton Tiger Cats, is playoff time if they want to take a run here. Marcel Belfay has talked about it all week. They've got a close game. They've had close games before. They haven't found ways to finish those close games.
Fred Reed just limped off, so Joe Smith checks back in.
And I think the crowd here in Hamilton, they know it too. They know the importance of this, so Kevin Glenn will have to battle this crowd.
Well, it's the home opener. That's why they're excited. 2nd and 10. And LeBron checks down Joe Smith. First down. And a big one up to midfield for Big Joe.
Tremendous protection for Kevin Glenn to look downfield, to look to his left. He even turned his body position. He looked like he wanted to throw to his left right here. Now watch his time. He turns outside. He looks back over the middle. Looked at about 3 or 4 different receivers because that pocket was set up and was solid for him. And finally he dumps it over to Joe Smith.
First down at the Bomber 54. Completion, this one to Robbie Bryant at the Ticat 56 more for Kevin Glenn at 3:42 on the night. His best so far in 2008.
You get so many opportunities to get that stop. Hamilton Tiger Cats are looking at one now. Do they gamble and send some pressure at Kevin Glenn because he had so much time on that throw to Joe Smith? Denny Crehan, the defensive coordinator, may have to roll the dice soon.
Smith sheds the tackle, has the first down, and shows some of the power that made him the leading rusher in the CFL a year ago. And Robbie Bryant going to Jeff Tisdale as part of the blocking.
Looked like the Ticats were going to try a controlled blitz and send Cornelius Anthony, the linebacker, into a hole, but you have to give credit to that O-line again. On key down, second down plays, they give time for Kevin Glenn to throw it to Joe, and then they open up some holes for Joe to run through.
And it's tough for anybody in that secondary to bring him down, averaging over 8 yards a run so far. They fake to Smith. Glenn rolls. And Terrence Edwards the catch. Drilled out by Chris Thompson.
It's that night where we're looking for a gladiator, and again, we mentioned the ultimate gladiators are men and women in the armed forces, and tonight, meet Captain Stephen Davies, reconnaissance platoon commander and member of the 2nd Battalion Princess Patricia's Canadian Light Infantry from Shiloh, Manitoba. He stands firm here, securing the area while his team of Canadian combat engineers search the compounds in a village near Kandahar. So, hello to Captain Stephen Davies and all our men and women in the armed forces.
Here, here. Kevin Glenn's got the marching. 6 for Edwards. 2nd and 4. 6 receivers out. And they dump it off. Milsteagle the catch. Brought down immediately. And at the 25-yard line, close.
He tried to lunge for that first down marker, and I'm wondering where they're going to mark it. They're giving him a good spot here, just shy of the 25-yard line.
He had to get onto the other side of the line, I believe, but
it's amazing how quickly Milsteagle knew exactly where he was on the football field. You saw him get up and make sure he reminded the official of exactly where the spot should be. That's the veteran in Milsteagle, understanding the situation, knowing exactly where he is on the football field, because when he went down, tackled by Ray Marius, he turned. He knew he was close. Little crossing route. Steagle starts on the short side of the field, then comes across to the wide side. Now watch how quickly he knows. He knows how close he is. He gets up, tells the official, I got about a foot to go.
About a half yard at the most. Doug Barry's in field goal range. He was stopped from about 1.5 yards out. And now in this 2-point game, does he take 3 or does he send the big boys in? And in comes John Osterhaus, Graham Bell, and the jumbo team comes on for a 3rd down gamble.
He didn't get it on the goal line.
And Glenn got a push across the plane and should have it.
This is definitely the play call to go with Kevin Glenn, who really dug in as he pushed off after that after the snap from Dominic McCart and followed his center.
Do have a penalty flag away from the line of scrimmage. So is this another alignment problem, or no? It's or the Bombers indicating they've got a first down, but they may not be aware of this penalty.
Look like they have enough yards for the first down, or inches, I should say.
Offside. Hamilton. 5-yard penalty. First down.
Not enough. Didn't give the full yard in that restraining area, and it is a first down, and they'll mark it down at the 20. 5.5 minutes remaining here in what's become a nail-biting 4th quarter. Bell remains in as the fullback. Bombers go 2 back. And not much there. Joe Smith dragged down by Ray Marius. Loose with another tackle.
Daryl Adams got the penetration that forced Joe Smith's shoulders to turn towards the sideline, and that's when Ray Marius could track him down. Adams has put together a pretty good 3rd and 4th quarter here after his mistake on the late hit on Kevin Glenn. He gets penetration 97, and now Joe Smith, when he turns his shoulders like that, you got to power back and turns his shoulders. You got it.
And a big play. Loss of 2, so it's 2nd and 12. Flanking screen. Armstrong snuffed, and there's Daryl Adams again from his defensive tackle spot, bringing down Armstrong. And the field goal team will come on for the Bombers.
Yeah, he's been flying around the football field, and that was almost the perfect call because Hamilton, you're going to see come with the blitz. Cornelius Anthony goes through that A-gap. McKay Losher, they even came with the secondary from the outside, so the halfback was gone. The screen set up to the side the halfback blitzed from. I thought this was going to be a big play, but Daryl Adams ran it down.
So Cerna on to attempt a 26-yarder. He's hit from 26 and 42. Trying to make it a 5-point Winnipeg lead. And Cerna with a flag down puts it through. And what's this call? It was 3rd and 9, so an offside won't give. It's a hold. Yeah, that's going to push it back 10. They're going to make Cerna work.
Holding Winnipeg, number 91. The 10-yard penalty. Repeat, 3rd down.
Run out.
And now for Cerna.
Sean Main, the culprit.
Now for Cerna, after making that easy chip shot, that look for him, you get the opposite angle, but those goalposts, those uprights are starting to shrink together for Alexis Cerna.
Now from 36. And it's a single point, and it's a 3-point game. So that's a huge holding penalty. Well, this one's not on the kicker, is it?
No, it's the holder, Jamie Stoddard, who gets a good snap here and just fumbles the snap and does not get this on the tee. In fact, the ball is lying on its side when Cerna kicks it. He tries to go down and recover it, but the Ticats give up a single.
A TSN turning point candidate. Back to work for the Ticats. Pass complete to Preche Rodriguez. And a reminder, you get more football coverage than ever on TSN2 this Sunday. TSN2 has exclusive live CFL coverage as the Eskimos head into Montreal to take on the Alouettes in the East-West battle. Live coverage on TSN2 beginning at 1 Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific.
That was a 2007 class. That's Darren Flutie. Greg Battle.
And Darren's brother joining today. Scott Mitchell, the crosser, the first down, and upended by Javon Johnson. Quentin Porter has ignited the offense, and we're under 3 minutes to go at Ivor Wynn. Tonight's game story brought to you by Coors Light. Who wants a cold one?
Casey Printers went 8 for 19 to start this game, but then was injured. His ankle. Quentin Porter has come in, played the entire second half. What a big night for Kevin Glenn. His #1 target has been Derek Armstrong, but again, Hamilton Tiger Cats find themselves in a close game with the ball and a chance to go for the go-ahead points here. They've been here before. Last week in Edmonton, they were behind but had the football with a minute to go, and a touchdown would have given them the lead in the win, and they fumbled. Can Quentin Porter find the answer?
They have lost 4 times after having leads in the fourth quarter, and they come from behind tonight to win. Trying to tie Winnipeg in the standings, trying to get within a game of Toronto in the standings. Flag down, pass dropped. Preche Rodriguez, the intended receiver.
I think this was coming back anyway. It looked like there was a holding call. I think it was Marco Kavka. And Gavin Walls was the defensive lineman that turned around to the official, said, "You saw that, right?"
Legal block, hands to the face. Hamilton, number 65. It's a 10-yard penalty. Repeat, first down.
Interesting situation for Quentin Porter here to see if he will be patient enough. He doesn't need to go and try and throw it 20 yards or more to get a first down on this play. He can just try and get the loss back, get himself into a second and long. We'll see what kind of composure he really has now.
Was Charles Thomas, the left tackle, drawing the flag. Yeah, that pass over the middle is complete. Tony Miles the catch, and he gets 17.
Calm and cool under fire as Quentin Porter. That's a throw that got to have some courage to make that throw over the middle. He finds a little hole. Tony Miles in the zone defense as the Winnipeg Blue Bombers give him a little bit of room and back off, not wanting to give up the big play now.
Can you have a 3-quarterback controversy? Quentin Porter's looked very sharp in what has been his longest stint. Whoa. Big second down play, and he's got a completion. Got it to Woodcock. Javon Johnson just missed knocking it down, but it's another set of downs for Quentin Porter and the Cats.
He's calm and cool here, too, because this snap is high. And he has to pull it down. He wants to run a play action. Watch how he continues with the play. Takes a check to his receiver, has to pull down a hot snap. Rushes the fake because he has to, and then throws it outside to Woodcock, who's well covered.
First and 10 at the Bomber. 47-yard line, getting close to field goal range, and he takes off. He's in field goal range now. Still going, and slides down at the 16.
How about that acceleration? All of a sudden, this quarterback can run also.
32 yards.
I thought once he broke into the open field, the first defender he saw, he might try and hook slide there. He didn't. Gets the corner here on Gavin Walls, and then this acceleration buys him another few, and Javon Johnson did not get the penalty for falling on him, even though he hook slides feet first.
Well, they said don't be fooled by the size, 6'5", 228. He is mobile. Not quite in the Porter's-Williams range, but he looked pretty close. And now in a bind, puts it into the end zone, and that one off the upright, when the closest man to it was probably Ian Logan.
Yeah, you know what? I think he got a little lucky there. I know his intentions were good because he was trying to throw it away. What happened this time is he didn't get the corner. Gavin Walls cut him off. So now he had to try and find an open receiver in a hurry. Or excuse me, it was Zeke Moreno who cut him off. And now he tried to throw it away. And I agree with you, Chris. I think Ian Logan might have had a shot at that football in the interception. But it's dead when it hits the upright.
And the only guy capable of throwing it away by hitting the upright on purpose was the other guy from Boston College. 2nd and 10. Pressure. Got away. Not for long. Brought down at the 18-yard line, and they'll have to settle for 3. 71 seconds remaining. And Marcel Belfait will send the field goal unit on and try and tie it up.
Quentin Porter protected the football on that play. The pocket started to collapse around him, and he knew he was getting hit. This year for the Hamilton Tiger Cats, their luck has indicated that they would fumble a ball in that kind of situation. They didn't. Quentin Porter protected it. Now he'll come on and hold for the field goal and see if Nick Setta can tie this up. He knew he had field goal range anyway.
So from the 25. On a bobble by the holder, so back to back.
You're kidding me. You've got to be kidding me.
Bombers open the door when they mishandled a snap, and now Quentin Porter, who's been brilliant in the second half, makes a mistake, and the door may have just closed on the Cats.
And has this not been the tale of their season? A chance to tie the game. That ball rolled back.
Yeah,
it looked like it was a low snap. Quentin Porter tried to get it there. He finally did. But Nick Setta's rhythm was all off by then. And he just all leg tried to turn into that and couldn't get enough to get it through.
Well, you won't see one botched field goal like that every game, and we've just seen 2 in 1 quarter. And it may come back to haunt the Cats. Regal shifted gears there, and a big first down up across the 45-yard line. And they wonder what else can possibly go wrong here in Tigertown. Just about to say, it looked very much like our first overtime game of 2008. Ticats have stopped the clock with 42 seconds to go, but Kevin Glenn and company should be able to burn the rest of the time off the clock here. As Glenn Johnson whistles play in. Play clock ticks down to 1 and back on his knee. Time for the TSN Turning Point, brought to you by the 2008 GMC Sierra. Professional grade.
The game was in the balance with a chance to tie it just moments ago. Hamilton Tiger Cats, which with what would be a chip shot for Nick Seta, do not handle the snap cleanly. The rhythm is off. The field goal misses. The Bombers hang on.
Brought to you by GMC Sierra, professional grade. Resetting the clock. 18 seconds left, and Kevin Glenn and company can just let it drain and put a knee down and post their 4th win of the year. The Bombers' first 2-game win streak comes on consecutive visits to Southern Ontario. First Toronto, now Hamilton, knee down, game over. And Doug Barry's team has now moved into a tie with Toronto for 2nd in the CFL East.